Welcome back to TechniqueWOD. I'm Doug Larson, hanging out with my friend Kenzie Stewart, and even Kurt Mulliken creeping in the background. Yo! Dude, blast from the past. All right, today we are talking about bench rows, for lack of a better name. It's basically a variation of horizontal pulling. You can do it with barbells, you can do it with kettlebells, you can do it with dumbbells. There's many variations of it. I like these a lot because in a lot of CrossFit style gyms, a lot of the pulling is pull-up style variations, and there's not as much horizontal rowing. And so if you're new to the sport and you haven't experimented with bent rows and one-arm rows and T-bar rows, if you happen to have a T-bar at your gym, which would be dope if you did, but a lot of people don't, then these bench rows are a very good option for you. So first we'll do a quick demo of the movement. Kenzie, go and hop up here just so they can see what we're talking about, and then we're going to talk about the other variations. So usually a lot of gyms have an actual bench and they have boxes, and so this is a pretty standard, easy setup. All right, cool. Go and hop down. So that's what the bench rows look like. Before we dig into the details of that, I want to rewind a little bit and talk about just your basic bent row and even kind of a variation of a bent row. So we'll start with the barbell. Your basic bent row, you see Kenzie's bent at the hip. She's a nice straight tight back. She's a slight bend in her knee. She's rowing the bar into her stomach. Shoulders are coming down and back. Shoulder blades are coming all the way together. Elbows are tight against the body. They're not flaring to the outside. There you go. Beautiful. If you want more information on that, we have other videos on bent rows specifically, but this is probably the most common horizontal pulling done in a CrossFit gym, other than probably a ring row, which is probably a little bit even more common. But what I tend to see with new people, especially when they get fatigued, especially if you happen to put a bent row into a Metcon, which would be really uncommon, but hey, you could do it, is that as you get tired, you're going to start doing the bro row, where you're kind of using a lot of body English, which again, if you're doing it with good technique, it's not the end of the world, but if you're just looking to get full fatigue of your back muscles, your lats, your posterior delts, your rhomboids, your lower traps, biceps, etc., then doing the bro row is taken away from that just a little bit. So if you're coming from the bodybuilding world and you're trying to do strict reps, or you're trying to emulate hypertrophy, then strict reps with a controlled eccentric is probably more what you're looking for. So that's a basic bent row. If you happen to have an inclined bench, then you could do a variation of this bench row where you're kind of at an angle. I think that's a great variation, and having the bench at an angle or the bench horizontal on the boxes like this, that's going to keep you from being able to do any body English, slinging the weights around with your bigger hip muscles and neglecting your upper body muscles. So that's a good variation. And then back to the original bench row. So I like to set the kettlebells right on the edge of the boxes like this. That way you can set up, and even if they're pretty heavy, you can be slid away from the box enough where as you drag the kettlebells off the box, the box is not in the way of you actually doing the movement. And then you do your full movement. Same points of performance. Elbows are tight against the body. Shoulder blades are coming all the way together, like she's squeezing my fingers with her scapula. There you go, beautiful. And then if you're rowing a whole bunch of weight and you can't get any more range of motion on the very last rep, you can always just drop them on the ground, and it's no big deal. And then you can set them back up for the next set. So you can do it with kettlebells. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. But if you want, have Kurt help me out here. If you want, go ahead and slide through there, Kurt, and we'll hand this to Kenzie. If you want, you can just have friends, or you can set the bar on something, hand you a barbell, and you can do rows with an actual barbell. There you go. And depending on the bench that you have, there you go, good job. And then again, it's a barbell, it's bumper plate, so you can just drop it on the ground. Beautiful. Thank you, Kenzie. Depending on the bench that you have, the barbell might hit the bottom of the bench. Some benches are thinner than others, and you might not really be able to get as much range of motion as you would prefer, depending on the style of bench that you happen to have. We don't have a regular cambered bar here. A lot of people have giant cambered bars, but a regular cambered bar, some people, used to call them like a bench press bar. It's a bar that, right here in the middle, it'll droop down just a little bit, just enough to like fit your chest in it. Those are really nice bars to use for these types of rows, because the bar will go here and then it'll go around the bench, and you can get that extra little bit of range of motion. If you happen to have a T-bar row at your gym, then I think that's actually one of the better variations. It's super easy to set up, and T-bar rows are fucking awesome. You should do them all the time, a couple times a week. Same deal with a lot of the assistance work that I recommend. Nothing fancy, 3 sets, 8 to 15 reps to failure, done once or twice a week is really all you need. That'll help work all your back muscles, your lats, your traps, your rhomboids, posterior delts, biceps, etc., and of course your grip to some extent. So try it out, let me know what you think. If you have other variations of rows you want me to cover in the future, happy to do that. Follow me, Douglas E. Larson, on Instagram, and then everything Barbell, Shrugged, and Shrugged Collective. We're Shrugged Collective on Instagram, and shruggedcollective.com is where you can find all of our videos. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week.
Welcome to the Shrugged Collective Program Vault. Over the last 6 years, we've been leading the charge in online strength and conditioning programming and coaching. And for the first time in the history of the Shrugged Collective, we're combining our 11 best-selling long-term and short-term accessory programs into one membership site called the Program Vault. From Olympic weightlifting to strongman, leaning out, nutrition, you name it, our 11 best-selling programs are yours for $47 a month. Get to shruggedcollective.com/vault, and you will find immediate access to our 11 best-selling strength and conditioning programs.